Welcome back to the Medtech Snapshot, the one question, one answer, highly digest medical device podcast. I'm really excited for the discussion that occurred here that you're about to listen to. We talked with the two current owners of RKL Tech out in Corona. It's an advanced machine shop that specializes in medical device machine parts. This is the first time we've gone into a discussion like this on the podcast, where we rip into all sorts of topics such as, if you're looking for a machine shop partner, what are the three key things that you need to be on the lookout for? We also talked a little bit about strategy as it relates to our medical device partners and the OEMs, and some of the things they might need to keep in mind, especially as they're putting into work or into practice new strategies like lean inventory strategies, and potentially what are the downstream effects of those type of strategies to your partners as well as to your business. And as always, at the very end, I surprised them with a third question, and I think you'll like the response, so stay tuned. I love hearing the backstory as to how people got to where they are. In particular, can you think back to a situation in your career that really was a pivotal moment? And because of that one moment, it really kind of set you on the path to where you are today. Is there anything that comes top of mind that you can share with us on that end?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's a pretty easy answer. It started in the Army. I was in the Army. That's where I met this guy over here, basic training. And we ended up doing a couple years in combat together. And, we forged a bond. And, the Army obviously instilled a foundation of discipline, teamwork, all things that translate into a business. And after the Army, it was college. We were roommates in college and studied together and got through and ultimately ended up working together. We've been working together last 10 years at RKL Technologies, really the better part of 20 plus years, generally speaking. I think after the Army, that sort of led to every sort of decision one way or another, and kind of gave me a very strong foundation, I feel, to kind of move forward in the business world, do what I had to do to achieve, and just kind of set me off on the right path, I feel.
I don't say this lightly. I mean, I really do appreciate both of you serving for our country. It's, where would we be without that, right? So thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that.
What I do hear is that transition at times coming out of service can be somewhat tough and challenging. So, Kip, can you talk real quick about what was that like, making that transition from going in service, being out of country on multiple deployments, from what I recall, and then coming back and finding yourself in the world of corporate America, corporate business?
Yeah. So when Torry and I got out at the same time, we're fresh off a 15-month tour, so it was a pretty long one, and we knew we were getting out. So there's some initial excitement, right? Like, hey, back to the real world, done with what we've been doing, could use a break kind of thing. And then it kind of hits you like, well, what's next? I mean, sure, you've thought about it, you've thought about it many a late night overseas, but now it's time to do something. And we've known a lot of guys, a few that are still in, a lot of guys that have gotten out since. And it's a really critical point where, do I go down this path? Do I go down that path? I think the secret to my success is getting out and staying with a buddy that I served with, someone around that, didn't necessarily need to talk about everything, but we just kind of had this unspoken acknowledgement that, hey, you've been there, I've been there, we've been there, let's charge on elsewhere. I think having that person around is critical. A lot of guys get out, they don't have that. They maybe feel a little alone, feel like maybe they can't relate. And I think that's where a lot of kind of issues occur. So yeah, fortunate to have my buddy with me this whole time.
No, thanks for sharing that, Kip. So, Torry, obviously you've already heard the question. So kind of going back to that, is there a marker moment in your life, a pivotal moment, however you kind of want to refer to that, that really became the catalyst for you getting to where you're sitting today, right next to your good bud, Kip?
Yeah. Obviously a very similar background story there, right? I was also in the same time as this guy, and we met there, and a big part of it again was the Army. Obviously, it changes your perspective on a lot of things and really opens up your eyes into the world, and what's important and what's not, maybe even, and seeing a third world country and the way people live out there and just the different style of life even, and it really brings perspective to you and shows you what's important. And so for me, it just gave me a lot of perspective on what happiness means to me, and getting back to Southern California, getting with my family, and like Kip said, I think a big part of what made us where we are today is having what we called them in the Army was battle buddies. Kip was my battle buddy, and what we've always said year over year is having each other has gotten us to where we are today, because so many people get out alone, and the veteran suicide rate is 22 a day or more. And that is because they get out and they just don't have anyone to talk to, and you don't realize how much you just need to let some small stuff go, to move on to the next step. And having somebody here that understands what we went through together, it makes all the difference, and there's many different phases after the Army that have changed and scoped how I got here today. Won't bore you with all that, but it involves soccer. I did a little bit of mortgage banking, and then ended up in over here doing industrial. But I think the most important part for me was again having the battle buddy that got me through the hard times that we weren't sure of, and make it out stronger.
You're welcome.
Wait, for
Thanks,
what
buddy.
it's worth, I mean, I really applaud the two of you, because when I had an opportunity to walk your shop with you a couple months ago, I could not have been more impressed with a couple things. One, you guys knew everybody that worked for you in and out. That's I don't want to say that's rare. I just don't see that often. Two, your shop was immaculate.
Yeah.
I don't often see machine shops that are that clean. So, and then the third thing that I thought was really interesting was how aggressive in a good way the two of you are as it relates to just thinking outside of the box with technology. I mean, I think in the, hour or two we were together, the amount of times the two of you talked about robotics and new tech that you're bringing into the shop to make you all more efficient, but at the same time to make sure the product that you're spinning out is of high quality. I was really impressed by that. So